So in today's video, I'll be discussing the mock trade that would send Donovan Mitchell to the New York Knicks in the 2022 NBA offseason. And I am making this video right after the Utah Jazz lost to the Dallas Mavericks by 25 points in a blowout fashion last night. And now the Utah Jazz are down 3-2 to the Dallas Mavericks and now are in serious jeopardy to lose their playoff series. And a few months ago, rumors came out that Donovan Mitchell is a first-round series away from going to New York. And Mitchell has continuously said that he is getting tired of these first-round playoff exits. And there are many connections with him in New York because he's actually a New York native in Westchester. And the Knicks practice facility in Westchester is about 10 minutes away from his house. And another link between Mitchell and New York would be the assistant head coach Johnny Bryant. And Mitchell and Bryant were actually really close when he was on the Jazz. And probably the most notable connection between him and New York would actually be Leon Rose as the Knicks president because he was Donovan Mitchell's agent before becoming one. So today we're actually going to be discussing a blockbuster 4-team trade that would land Mitchell and actually Gordon Hayward in New York as well. And if Mitchell wants out, a trade does not need to be a 4-team deal and it can actually be only between the Jazz and the Knicks. But I've decided to put some more juice into the video and actually put a 4-team blockbuster deal. But now with that all out of the way, let's get into the mock trade. So in this huge blockbuster trade, the New York Knicks would receive Donovan Mitchell, Gordon Hayward, Eric Pascal, Juan Hernangomez, and 2 future Charlotte Hornets second-round picks. The Utah Jazz would receive Julius Randle, Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, Mason Plumlee, and 2 future New York Knicks first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. And the Hornets would receive Christian Wood, Alec Burks, Kemba Walker, Nerlens Noel, Royce O'Neal, and Udoka Azubuike. And the final team, Houston Rockets, would receive James Bouknight, Jalen McDaniels, Kai Jones, and 2 future Charlotte Hornets second-round picks. So first, the Knicks would receive their superstar that they've dreamed for throughout the season in Donovan Mitchell. And in my opinion, just to get Donovan Mitchell alone, the Knicks would probably need to give up Julius Randle, Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, and maybe a few first-round picks. But if they're hesitant to give up someone like Quentin Grimes or Emmanuel Quickley, they could try to give up someone like Cam Reddish or Obi Toppin. But personally, I would rather give in Emmanuel Quickley and Quentin Grimes instead of a Toppin and Reddish. And the Knicks in this trade would also get a really good player in Gordon Hayward when he's healthy. And mainly for Gordon Hayward, the Knicks give up 3 solid veteran players in Alec Burks, Kemba Walker with a reunion in Charlotte, and Nerlens Noel. And New York also gets 2 future second-round picks from Charlotte. And after this trade, the New York Knicks would have a very fun and intriguing starting lineup with Donovan Mitchell at the point guard position, as well as RJ Barrett, Gordon Hayward, Obi Toppin, and Mitchell Robinson. And if they're unable to re-sign Mitch this offseason, then they would probably need to include him in a signing trade for a different center, such as Miles Turner. And the Knicks would also have a fun young bench with Derrick Rose, Deuce McBride, Cam Reddish, Taj Gibson, and Jericho Sims. And if they want to, they can include Eric Pascal in the backup power forward position instead of Taj Gibson. And Juancho Hernangomez can also be used for some services at times. And now for the Utah Jazz, they get a ton of players in return. And if Donovan Mitchell actually requests a trade this offseason, the Jazz would likely accept this type of a deal from the Knicks. Mainly because they're still getting a star player in Julius Randle, which was just recently a second-team All-NBA player. And they won't need to worry about Randle's contract because he will be under contract for at least another 3 years. And also the Jazz would get Evan Fournier, which is a good friend of Rudy Gobert and a Frenchman. And there's already chemistry between Fournier and Gobert as they played in the French national team this past summer. And Utah would also get 2 really good young players in Emmanuel Quickley and Quentin Grimes. And the final assets of this trade for the Jazz would be that they would get 2 futures first-round picks and second-round picks from the Knicks. And Utah would also receive Mason Plumlee as a really good backup center to Rudy Gobert, so Royce O'Neal and Udoka Azubuike would go to the Charlotte Hornets in that exchange. And with this trade, the Utah Jazz would also have a very nice and balanced starting lineup with Mike Conley at the point guard position, as well as Evan Fournier, Bojan Bogdanovic at the small forward position, and Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert on the front court. And Utah's bench would consist of players like Jordan Clarkson, Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, Rudy Gay, and Mason Plumlee. And now let's talk about the Charlotte Hornets and Houston Rockets. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, the Hornets would give up Gordon Hayward and receive players like Alec Burks, Kemba Walker, and Nerlens Noel. And the main reasons for this would be for them to clear up some cap space in the future, as they would receive players on 1 to 2 year deals. And also, Gordon Hayward has been very injury prone in the past few seasons for Charlotte, and they would also get Kemba Walker in return from the Knicks, which would be a nice reunion. But another huge upgrade for them at the center position would be them receiving Christian Wood from the Rockets. And they would need to be giving up some young players such as James Bouknight, Jalen McDaniels, and Kai Jones, and a few picks. And after this trade, the Hornets would have a starting lineup of LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Kelly Oubre, or Royce O'Neal at the small forward position, as well as Miles Bridges and Christian Wood in the front court. And their bench would consist of players like PJ Washington, Kelly Oubre Jr., Alec Burks, Kemba Walker, and Nerlens Noel. So Charlotte would definitely get much more deeper with this trade. And for the Houston Rockets as the final team of this deal, they're actually receiving a few nice young players in return for Christian Wood. And even though players like James Bouknight and Kai Jones did not receive enough minutes for the Charlotte Hornets this past season, I personally am a bit higher on those players than other people are expecting them to be. And Houston in this trade does get 2 future second round picks in return from Charlotte. And Christian Wood is not on the Houston Rockets' proper timeline, as he's going to be 27 years old this year, and the Houston Rockets have players such as Jalen Green who are 19 years old. And after this trade, the Houston Rockets will have a starting lineup of Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Jayshawn Tate, Kenyon Martin Jr., and Alperen Şengün. And their bench would consist of players like Josh Christopher, Eric Gordon, James Bouknight, Jalen McDaniels, and Usman Garuba. So definitely a very young rebuilding team. So to sum up this entire 4-team blockbuster trade, all 4 teams definitely have legitimate reasons to pull this off. And the trade that I propose does not need to be exactly as it is in real life, but it's more about getting an overall idea in terms of what the trade would look like. And you guys can try this type of a trade on your own on fanspo.com. But here is the proof that the trade is actually a financial success. So with that all being said, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of this huge blockbuster 4-team trade. And let me know if there should be any adjustments made and what your personal trade idea would look like. And if you guys did enjoy this video and want to see more New York Knicks trades like these, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and it's been KNYT here and I'm out. Peace.